Yo, no maniacs. Welcome to the show. This is Nomad Live, all Bears, all the time, in conjunction with Sports Zone Chicago and the superback Sean Sierra, who is what we would call him on the road again, Sean. Smokey and the Bandit, Sean. He's back there. I can see him, but you guys can't. We'll pull him up in a minute. But yeah, Sean's on the road, but he's coming in just a minute, man. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Quite a few things that I've been wanting to talk about, and I was just so tempted. Anybody that was watching Kaz's show Superflex the other day, just know that I was in the background silent, thinking about all the stuff that I want to say that I'm going to say on this show today, and trying to remind myself that, like, this is Kaz's show, this is fantasy football, and this is not connected whatsoever in a singular way towards the Chicago Bears. Shut your goddamn mouth, Nomad. Let kids do his thing. And that's what I adhere to, guys. And so, but today, this is Nomad Live, and I get to talk about it. And today, I got some stuff to say. And so I'm just going to say that. And I'm going to welcome you guys into the show one more time before I pass it on to the conduct for some pleasantries before we get into the nitty gritty.
Well, always pleasant when the King of Pop shuts up. So we'll start there. And right after that, we'll give you guys a little bit of love as per normal. Planksters in the building with what it do, Plank. Big love to you as always. Send Sheep Planks our love as well. The Nodge is with us. Big Frank is with us as well. Black Diamond's out there. Aunt Moss is out there. Who else we got? I know Junior's with us. I saw Junior in the chat for sure.
He's in there.
Who else? I'm missing anybody. Oh, Richard Long's with us. I'm just cluing in. I'm out to figure out something's close to being as clever as your first and last name together. That being said, there has been a superback signing, so let's see where the superback is at. He's streaming into us right now. There he is. There's a superback.
Gentlemen, what's going on?
Hey, turn your feed down a little bit, Sean. Just a little. I can hear you got some fairly new tires. I know that.
I don't know if that's any better.
No, it is. It's better.
There we go.
Go ahead, man.
Man, lots to talk about. A lot to talk about. DJ's body language. CJ Stroud saying what's up. Big brother type thing. Shane Waldron having to make some adjustments. Ryan Poles, roster construction. Man, where are we going to start?
I mean, we could. I mean,
trying to open a whole can of worms, man. Welcome to the show, you guys. Welcome to the show.
I guess that's good stuff.
You have hands on the wheel, man. 10-2, damn it. 10-2.
Yeah. 10-2, dog.
I'm at a stoplight.
All right, man. Hey, so you know what, man? You know what? Since it's on me, and I'm gonna start this conversation off the right way, and say this to the No Maniacs and everybody that's involved in the show that's regularly here. Let me quiet Sean down for a second.
All right.
And everybody that's regularly here, regulars to the channel, members, everybody, all these super No Maniacs. Everybody knows this about me. I'm not a negative person. I try to find, the light in every situation. I'm never gonna hang on to just yapping and bitching about what's going wrong without coming up with some kind of solutions. But man, I'm telling you, there were some things that happened in that game Sunday that really got under my skin. And today I'm gonna air it out, man, because there's some simple stuff going on that really irritated me. And in order for this team to get to where it needs to go to before the fan base turns on them and we lose another quarterback, I'm gonna have to speak my mind, man, and say what I gotta say about this. So here we go.
You do not want to open this can because inside it's something that isn't cool and or refreshing. This is Nomad's can of whoop ass. Oh fuck.
Man, that made me thirsty.
You know what? I'm gonna have to have me a drink after this because I got something to say, man. This dude, Chris Morgan, man. Let me start off, Sean and Kids, and say this. Time after time after time, I've heard. Now, I expected when they did the coaching turnover, when they started moving pieces in the offseason, he was definitely one of the guys that I had pegged. I'm like, man, you want to talk about who hasn't done their job the correct way and hasn't executed what he needed to do as a coach. Luke Getsy was one of those guys I told you Sunday night, and also Chris Morgan was one. And that game Sunday just reminded me of how bad a job this guy has done since he's been a Bears coach. Now, I don't know if there's some damn nepotism going on in the Bears building at Halas Hall, because the way I understand it is Flus and him are very, very close friends. People have said time and time again, he's a highly respected coach across the NFL, offensive line coach. You know what? I don't give a damn about how much he's respected. How effective are you? How effective are you? Not very, based on the film that I just got through looking at. You are not very effective as a coach. Number one, football one-on-one offensive line coaching, the first things you do when you make sure this is ingrained in your group. Keep them settled. No shooting yourself in the foot. Pre-snap penalties, jumping, getting lined up correctly, being aware of the cadence and the snap count. Simple football one-on-one things that have been horrible. And I'm not one of them people that's going to be quick to say, hey, Caleb is just like we thought he was, and no, hardly any of that stuff was on Caleb. He threw some bad balls now, and we're going to talk about some of that too. He threw some real bad balls, but most of that, I'm telling you, Chris Morgan is ineffective as a offensive line coach here in Chicago. Now, I will say this in his defense. Do we have the pieces on the offensive line, something we're going to talk about, sufficient to what he needs to get the job done? I got questions about that. And we'll talk about that too. But holy crap. This is basic stuff. I listened to Sean talking about it, and Sean is looking at, different stuff when he's watching the game than I am. I'm mostly paying attention to the defense, but trying my best to kind of get my arms around what's going on the offense. I'm a defensive guy, but I can see what's going on the offense and kind of give you guys some kind of synopsis of what I think is happening. But when Sean came in the show Sunday night, and that's when he said that they were failing at basic football, not being able to get those stunts and twists and things like that. Man, I was just like, yeah, I noticed that. And you look at the all 22 again, and it's just more glaring. Like, we've got an interior offensive line problem. Nate Davis may be a guy that I don't know, and I feel wrong for saying this, fellas, but I think it's worth discussing of whether he even has a passion to play this game anymore. I know what happened with his mom. I know. And I sympathize with that, man. And my heart goes out to that guy for that. And, you just don't know how humans will respond to that kind of adversity. But it's to be questioned whether or not he still has the passion and desire to play this game. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it's worth talking about. But the basics were just not there. This is some stuff that, I do know high school coaches, know a few college coaches. I know some pro coaches. Everybody knows that the problems that haunted the Bears Sunday night was your standard of play for the most part, and also the quality of your starting five. I'm questioning Braxton Jones as a starter. I think he's a swing tackle. I've always said that, you know what I mean? But hey, here we are, man. I'm gonna stop this rant, and I'm gonna clean my stuff up a little bit, and we're gonna get to some solutions. I feel like I know exactly what went wrong, why it went wrong. I'm gonna talk about some of that, but before I do that, I'm gonna pass it on to kids and just to shut me up because I'm pissed off about this whole thing.
All right. So I'm so amped to hear what your solutions are because I don't really have any solutions. I spent Sunday night. And I'm gonna cuss you out a little bit here because I deserve a buttload of credit here. I'm just saying because I came on Sunday night and basically said everything you just said, and Sean came on Sunday night and echoed it, and here we are. And what makes matters worse is we're back at the what came first, the chicken or the egg conversation. And we seem to wind up here almost on a yearly tier. But definitely since Chris Morgan has been the offensive line coach, every year we come back here and we ask, what came first? Is it the offensive line's issue, or is it an issue with the rookie quarterback and or the running back? Where's the problem? Is it a coaching problem, or is it with the personnel? I'm not sure which one it is, but the coaching is definitely the constant, right? They decided to maintain him, and I'm gonna put a little additional wrinkle on this. Notice that the run game has suffered. Notice who the run game coordinator is. So I just want to put that there too. So we've had an issue with the offensive line under Chris Morgan. That has continued. He's now in charge of the run game. It's not working either. So, again, I think it may be a coaching situation. I don't know. Personnel, you hit the nail on the head one more time. I've been talking about Nate Davis for quite some time. His mom passed away a year ago. It had really nothing to do with the 2024 season, right? Like, that was last year's situation. He definitely deserves the benefit of the doubt for last year. And the team itself gave him the benefit of the doubt this year by saying, hey, you know what? You're not going to practice. You've got, minor injury issues. You're not really practicing. It's cool. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But here we are again, guys. What came first? I don't know. Sean, do you know?
Oh, let me unmute him. Go ahead, Sean.
I'm going to pull over for a second. One of the things, I didn't think about that, but you're right, no man. Does he have the desire to play anymore? That's a great question.
Talking about Nate Davis, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. But so I'm not sure. But one of the things that I believe me, Chris Morgan drew my ire today in the show. But at some point, like, come on, man, this is grammar school stuff, high school stuff. We're talking twists, okay? We're talking twists. That's it. All right, 5-man pressure. Everybody's accounted for. Every offensive lineman has a guy, and you just twist. It's kind of like it's like a pick stunt.
Sean, before you go on, Sean, let me ask you a real question. Maybe I might need to be asking Armando this, ask Junior this, but you might be able to ask me. But in the techniques that they were training the offensive linemen on your team, were they training them to? And you might have to go back and look at this to see what I'm talking about. But it's something about they're kind of boring into, like, all right, so the twist is happening.
I know what you're saying.
They're boring into, the guard is boring into whoever the tackle was blocking. He's boring into him instead of giving him a shove and keeping his balance and keeping in his space.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. Like, he's going all in. But again, when there's first of all, that happened all game. So I can see one time it happened, okay. But you got the Surface, all right, the Microsoft Surface that you can look at real time, and you didn't see that. Coaches didn't see that. Coaches didn't. I would think that they would have mentioned something. And if they did and still have an issue, well, then it's the personnel. It's a personnel issue. But I know what you're saying. A guy crosses his face. He takes him. If a guy crosses your face, you're a professional football player in the National Football League. You don't think that inside gap, they're going to leave it? You don't think they're going to have someone attacking the inside gap, the A gap? You think they're just going to have two guys rushing outside and leave the middle wide open so our quarterback, who's pretty mobile, can run? Come on. I mean, this is football 101. So, yeah, Chris Morgan, And King Book of World said we can't call him Simo. He don't get a nickname until he fixes this. So we got to call him by his government name. He said.
John, it's like on some blocks, like that, when you kind of know it's coming, you can't go all the way in on that block when you know you might have to tag team and tandem off of it. You can't. You just got to kind of give them a shove and get off of it real quick. It's more about quickness than it is power in that situation.
There's a guy. If your guy is not attacking you, then you have to know someone else is going to be. Like right. That's the whole thing. Like if there's a guy on my inside and he tries to cross my face, well, there's somebody coming back here. Who's it going to be? Probably the guy on the outside, with a twist. So why they refuse to recognize that, I have no idea. Why they refuse to change it up, make some adjustments, I have no idea. But that was piss poor. That was high school stuff. I'm saying that's even grammar school stuff, but for sure high school stuff where you just pass guys off. And I remember at Holy Cross, I can't remember the term they used because I was a running back, so we're in step with the O-line in almost every meeting. But same thing, your guy goes away, you got to stay balanced, all right? And Coach DeRazio, Dan DeRazio, never forget Coach DeRaz, and he would tell them, if someone's leaving, someone's coming. And why they can't figure this out, I don't know. But they're going to get Caleb killed. Caleb's not going to live up to nearly his potential when he gets carried out in a body bag. Because that was just piss poor. And I can't. It was embarrassing how this offensive line played. Oh, and by the way, the two of the top three highest rated guards, number 1 and number 3, were who was it? Cody Whitehair and James Daniels.
I heard Lucas Patrick was one.
Lucas Patrick, not Cody Whitehair. I'm sorry. You're right. And
where did Lucas Patrick wind up?
I forgot where. No, James Daniels with the Steelers. I don't remember. But remember when he didn't want to sign
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Oh, okay.
Remember when
PFS highest rated guard.
Poles didn't want to sign James Daniels, and we're like, "What are you doing? This is a dude. We saw him as a rookie." When he gave Aaron Donald the flux. See, man, he handled Aaron Donald his rookie year. And I was like, oh, I think we have something here. And then he doesn't re-sign him. And now would you pay Nate Davis? Come on, man. Why is it that he's having a problem, former offensive lineman, why is he having a problem identifying good offensive linemen?
I don't, man. That the James Daniels was a huge miss, right? Like it's the first miss, and it is what it is. But it was a big miss. He had the opportunity to retain a decent talent at that position coming in the door, but things were a little bit shaky by way of whether James Daniels was a stud, B, whether he really wanted to continue playing football here. I think that was to be questioned. But I think he probably missed a little bit on the James Daniels situation because we've got a gaping hole at that position now.
CJ took the words out of my mouth. I was going to come in and say exactly this.
Oh.
What do you say? I can't see it.
He's saying because he's drafting guys like him and not mean MFs. And yeah.
On the score was talking about that today or yesterday or today, and yeah, but I don't know if I believe that because Tevin's mean. I mean,
he didn't draft Tevin now.
I got a better reason,
and he hasn't offered him a contract yet either.
Hold on, Nick.
Right?
I got a better way of looking at that. I do believe this now, and all you have to do is listen to him talk, and it'll tell you everything I'm about to reiterate. I do believe that they believe in their own development within that building, within their coaching staff. I think they can get a guy who was drafted a little bit lower, but they got higher value in that draft pick because he was drafted lower. And they think that they can bring him onto the team. And that's worked, for the most part, like on the defensive side of the ball, right? On the offensive side of the ball, that philosophy is not playing out the way it should be. And personally, I do believe that Chris Morgan is not. Here's my solution to it, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they need, and I said this Sunday, I believe they need to bring in a senior analyst. The same way they brought one in with Flus last year with that defense when he was struggling to keep them competitive. They brought in Phil Snow, and everything seemed to take off from there. I believe if there's a guru out there, Harry Heaston, whoever, and he's available, what we need is to get these guys settled and for them to have some continuity. Those are the two key words: settle the group down, establish continuity, and everything else can be coached out from there. Sean, does that make any kind of sense to you? Somebody with a veteran touch that can come in with a different voice than Chris Morgan's and say the words to these guys to help them settle down. I can remember drills that in college, we had a really good offensive line coach, and the scare tactics that they use against those guys to keep them from jumping in games was incredible. Some of the stuff I've seen them do, but they would gas these dudes out if one of them dudes even flinched when people jumped at them and made noises around them and all that kind of thing. I can't really describe it with my words, but it was awesome to see. But we were probably one of the least penalized offensive lines in the NCAA because of that. But you'd have to see those kind of tactics and those kind of coaching techniques to know how effective they are in games. And so to me, I think it's some very simple stuff missing within that group. And I think it's continuity and establishing, just getting them settled down and calm so that they can be more effective together. I think that's the answer.
You know what? There's a couple things. One, and you said Harry Heaston. I was like, damn. Wow.
Hey.
That's a hell of a name to do that. I'm not sure where he's coaching before. What he's doing. That'd be a great one. But there's another thing that's called accountability. Okay? I said if Chris Morgan didn't come in today, or hell, Monday, and start cursing these dudes out and say, look, that was the most pathetic performance I've ever seen from an offensive line in my life. You can't handle simple TE or ET stunts, those twists. You're making millions and millions of freaking dollars, and you can't handle a God-blessed twist. So here's what we're gonna do. If you can't handle a twist, you're not gonna play. And I understand there's a lot of politics involved and contracts involved, but if I'm Chris Morgan and you want to be respected, that's the way to be respected. If you're not getting the job done, the hell with your salary. I need to find someone who can get the job done. So Nate Davis, if you can't pick up a twist, you're gonna sit your ass next to me. Tevin Jenkins, you can't pick up a twist, you're gonna sit your ass next to me. Okay, it's that simple. You're gonna get our franchise quarterback killed before he even gets off the ground. His career even gets off the ground. You're gonna get him killed. And I feel that there's a little too much nicety. That's an old word I just made up. Okay, they're too nice with these guys. This is football. You're not their friend. You're their coach. You're their teacher. And football is the alpha sport of alpha sports. And you need to talk to alpha males a certain way. And if you can't handle it, well, guess what? Then you're not ready to play at this level. Because this game is very black and white. Get the job done or you don't. It's that simple.
Well, Sean, I flat out don't believe. Now, here's the problem with, although I would agree with you if we were a team that had sufficient depth, I don't think we're deep enough on the O-line to be that drastic of a decision maker and say, you know what, you don't get it done, you get out. You probably end up making the problem worse than it is.
No, man. How much?
You're going to make the problem worse than it is. You end up putting a guy that's lesser than the guy you got on the field. You're going to have a damn worse problem than you had before.
But you don't know because these guys haven't had any chances. You played at a high level. We've all seen those dudes who practices kind of like but in the game, we call them gamers. We see guys who just don't practice well, just for whatever reason. But man, come game time, the lights turn on, that joker plays. Why not give Pryor a shot? I know Kramer's on here, but why not give Pryor a shot at guard? All right, and then you talk to Ryan Poles, say, hey man, we need help. All right, if these guys can't get it done, it's This is a performance-based business. And if you can't get it done, find somebody who will.
All I know is,
and Chris Morgan's been here, bro. It's not like this is Chris Morgan's first year. You know, I can see if you're trying to get acclimated to his style and what he wants. All right, Darnell Wright, Nate Davis, Tevin Jenkins, Braxton Jones. They were all here last year. They know exactly how Chris Morgan works, what he wants. You're not learning anything new from him. You're not getting adjusted to him. You've adjusted last year. You know what he wants.
well, Sean, I bet you if I asked Junior right the F now, that when the offensive line, the basics and fundamentals of the offensive line start to break down, and there's a chink in one guy's armor, it starts to be a domino effect of the whole group. I bet you he would say you're right, man, because when one guy starts to have problems, other guys start doing things to try to compensate for that guy's shortcomings, and then they taking care of their shit.
Not necessarily compensate for, but when they're not going well, they'll take turns screwing up. They'll take turns, and it'll be completely independent of the other guy.
So let's be real here, right? So there's a couple of guys who are having problems on that line. It's really not just, like, I know we're kind of, we might be zeroed in on the Nate Davis situation because we saw it coming. But Coleman Shelton's not playing very good football either.
Horrible.
And he's right beside the guy. And I think those two, like what you're saying, Nomad, I think those two together have created a domino effect. I think you're kind of right. Maybe it's Nate Davis, but I think the two of them together, side by side, creates a gaping hole that just causes the other guys to lose where they are. I don't know. It's something's got to.
They go hand in hand, kids. He knows that Coleman Shelton is struggling. And Nate Davis is not a bad guard. I just think he's going through some things in his life and that are particular, and it's costing him on the field. I've seen Nate Davis play some monster football, but right now, as a Bear, in this point, before game 3, I'm just going to say he's been underachieving. That's the best thing I could say the nicest thing I could say about Nate Davis right now but I know I did see that on film too. It seems like they're both the guards are actually paying a lot of attention to whether Coleman is holding up or not. They're paying a lot of attention to that, and they're ready to help and rescue out, on his reps. I don't know if people paid enough attention to that to see that, but I definitely noticed that Nate and Tevin were doing that.
Yeah, they're very soft in their fundamentals. They are not fundamentally sound right now, and that falls on the coach. All right, and I understand that the players play, but God bless it, man. This is not the first game. This is the second game. They had problems with stunts in week 1 as well. It's just Houston said, "Oh, they got problems, so we're gonna put 5. We're gonna send 5 and twist with 2." So you didn't have it was a ingenious idea a brilliant idea by Houston, and they pulled our whole card, like, all right, let's see what you can do, and we couldn't handle it, and that's unfortunate. You can't handle those simple high school stunts, twists.
I think we spent the better part of 20 minutes talking about it. I'm going to reiterate what I think they ought to do. I think there's 2 glaring shortcomings, and I think it's just being unsettled as a group and just not having the continuity they need to play effectively in the game, and it's costing the quarterback. Quarterback is, and that, before I get into that, I also do think they could. I don't know if they will. I don't know what it's going to take, but I do believe that they need a senior hand in the offensive line room. I don't care who it is, but just somebody that's effective, a really good communicator, and really good at the fundamentals of getting guys where they need to be and consistent. That's my take on it. I believe they need to hire out, bring in a guy. I think that could be an answer to the group. Maybe you can get 30-40% better performance out of these guys. You know what I mean? And that would be effective. But here we go talking about Caleb Williams. Caleb, I think his game was a byproduct of the unsettledness on the offensive line. When you look at it overall, he didn't. It got to a point where he was seeing ghosts when the ghosts weren't there, and we all know what that the end of that damn story looks like. We've seen that with Justin Fields, and you can't blame him, man. It got bad at times. I mean, so bad that even when he wanted to keep his feet in place or slide up in the pocket, there was nowhere to go. It was just a bad experience for him, and for him to get the taste out of his mouth, that kind of taste out of his mouth. You can't have a consecutive bad performance like that from the O-line. They've got to get a better performance out of that O-line and get that taste out of his mouth, because 2 of them in a row, then it's starting to feel like an epidemic. I know I'd feel that way if I was Caleb. It was just really bad. We're going to talk about his shortcomings in a minute, but what do you guys think about how the offensive line play affected him?
It was pretty straightforward. If there's that much pressure coming up, like right up the center, he's off. He something he noticed in preseason about Caleb Williams was his ability to sort of stay within the pocket and even retreat back into the center of the pocket. That's all gone. Like, that disappears immediately when that pocket collapses from the center, right? So he's immediately flushed out of the pocket at best. There's no protection there. So, yeah, definitely affects him. We saw it affect him in game 1. We've seen it now affect him that much more in game 2. The other piece to all of this, and where I actually saw improvement, was he was a little bit less happy-feety this week. He was able to get his feet planted a fair amount more and attempt to secure a strike when the opportunity was there. Unfortunately, not a lot of opportunities to, again, get set and drive the football through. Is what it is. Tough game situation with an offensive line that's performing via that means. More importantly, they just weren't able to establish the run game at all. So, they really forced him to play quarterback, which, for a rookie is going to be a little bit of a problem. I'm just hoping we don't see the exact same thing from the Colts this week. What do you think, Sean?
He had a couple bad throws. The one to DJ Moore, that comeback was a problem with DJ. He had him.
Didn't get his feet set on that one.
He had his feet set. Yes. He had his feet set and just underthrew him. And DJ was mad. He was frustrated. And I get it when you're in, but that's to talk about seeing ghosts. But one of the things that he was doing that I didn't really like is he was lofting the ball. He was putting a lot of air under the ball. The interception the one that DJ had, he underthrew him. He lofted the ball. Like, come on, baby. Like, you saw the way it was released.
That whole shot to DeAndre Carter should have been an arrow instead of
yes.
Instead of a touch ball. You're right.
Yes, he's lofted it too much. And the second time I did that, I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Get it there, right? Get it there.
Yeah, just get it there. And you know better. And I don't know what the issue is on why he's stuck on lofting the ball and putting air under the ball. Like, come on, man. Like, get the ball, and there's different ways.
I think it's NFL, NCAA shit going on there. Stuff you can get away with in college. You can't. That hole closes up a lot faster on this level. I think that's more or less learning. You got to just learn that.
It does. It closes up real fast, and he's learning that. He's learning that big time. And I think a lot of his Superman plays, like the one thing that, and you talked about, he didn't have dropping back. Remember, he's facing vanilla defenses in preseason. They throw his stunts and twists and all that other stuff, which is why I wanted them to play more. Do you not remember me saying? I said they should have played the Hall of Fame game. I said the first half. I was like, "No, you're crazy. What's wrong with you?"
You were pissed. You were fired up about it.
They're like, no. I said, Dan, I need a first quarter, at least 2 series. No. I said, okay. And I said they were gifted that extra game. They had all that opportunity to work on these things. All right, even if it was just 2 series where he turned around and handed the ball off, maybe 1 pass in there, 3 and out, 6 plays. I don't care. Those are actual reps that you can use. You didn't play in the first game. You didn't play in the fourth game. Okay, so now you wasted the opportunity that was granted to you, and then you're still wondering why there's issues. All right, the kid's got to settle down, and it's tough because he hasn't had this pressure without the ability to escape. See, when you're in college, you can do that. You can escape. Here, these dudes are bigger, stronger, faster, and much quicker than the dudes than Utah State and UC Santa Barbara. Okay, you're not playing those dudes, so he's got to adjust his game. And then if you ever notice, most of the time he likes to go left. It seems he's he's shaking, he's shucking and jiving, and all of a sudden he wants to roll to his left. I'm like, yeah, I think you're gonna get a pattern. People are gonna say, okay, he likes to go left. He's gonna shake you, but he's gonna go left. I think he needs to go right a little more. But I don't know. I just don't like. I just don't like the feel right now. I don't like what I'm seeing, and he doesn't have confidence. DJ Moore's frustrated in him, and that could be gone by today or tomorrow. But man, DJ Moore is frustrated.
Hey, we're gonna talk about that in just a second, but to add on to what you guys are saying, to me it was less like the first game, like the game speed. I knew that was going to be a ticking time bomb on him. I knew the game speed was going to be like, I know he played some preseason against a bunch of guys that's fighting for second string roles. Ain't like what you're dealing with when you're dealing with the A1s out there in game one. It's like 50% less of what you have to deal with against starting NFL defenders, what he had to deal with in preseason. So I knew right away that him coming out in that first game, that speed of the game was going to bother him. And he was unsettled, a little bit happy feet, and he just wasn't executing because he sped himself up because he realized instantly, like, oh, shit, these dudes are real fast and they're real athletic, and his mind and everything, his mechanics sped up. I was expecting that, and I believe you guys are smart enough to know that too. And coming to the second game, I think what they did was they realized that his stuff under center was very, very predictable. The play calling was very, 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 very predictable, and he never got comfortable under center. It wasn't until they got him out into RPO doing the spread that he gained any kind of comfortability. And I believe that's what they're focusing on. I don't think they're thinking about game plan. They're not thinking about, all the other stuff normal teams would be thinking about. I think they're just trying to keep him comfortable. And somehow, he came out in a lot of RPO to start the game, and he was darting that ball around, Sean and kids. And so you could see that they noticed that this dude is more comfortable in RPO. And I know how you feel. I talked to Coach T about it. He feels the same way as you, Sean. Get the dude under center. But it's just like, why do that when it's not going to get him comfortable? If he's uncomfortable under center, then why keep doing that? I know it's the run game is going to suffer a little bit because of it. I know it. That's just the way the game is. It's going to suffer a little bit. But if he's not comfortable, you think we complaining about Caleb Williams now? You think people are complaining about that dude now? If that starts to be a glaring deficiency, him being under center and not really being able to get into the play action game good because he's not comfortable, they're going to forget what you've heard so far. They're going to start trying to run the cat out of town. And the coaches.
Oh, that's their golden child. Media's golden child. They wouldn't do that.
Oh, man, dude. Let me tell you something, man. They will turn on that cat. They will turn on that cat, man.
Dude, did you hear what I said on the show this morning, on my show?
Man. I ain't been able to watch no podcast.
Real quick. I'm not going to say any names because people are going to get mad. Not that I care, but I just don't feel like slapping anybody. A person on the morning show had the audacity to say, we as the community, the media as a community, did a good job of not hyping up Caleb Williams. I cursed that person out. I'm in my car coming home. I cursed that person out like, what the beep, 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 beep are you talking about?
We didn't hype him up enough. Okay.
Like, that was so crazy that someone had the audacity to say it. And then the host, because the pair, one of the guys was first, people were out, but the guy whose show it is, he was like, well, I kind of overhyped it, blah, 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 and he took accountability. But for someone to come on the radio and say, we as a media community, we the media as a community did a good job of not hyping him up, I was like, oh,
I'm not trying to fight that battle because people took it there, you know, that whole uncivil war shit that happened. I don't care, man. I don't care about the hype. I don't care about who liked him. I've been steadfast about how I felt about the situation. Thought he's a great quarterback, but I felt like that we could have kept what we had. We didn't do it. He's our quarterback now. I'm talking about what's going to happen if we don't get this shit fixed. I'm like a Papa Bear when it comes to this shit right now. He's with us now. He's one of us now. I don't care what the hype was. I don't care who didn't, you know, necessarily agree with getting Caleb Williams. I don't give a shit about that no more. I'm talking about what do we need to do? What's going to have to happen for this dude before this dude ends up being a waste of a draft pick because we didn't put the infrastructure around him the right way. Everybody seemed pretty happy. And I was, for the most part, I was still worried about left tackle, Sean. I ain't going to lie. That was my main concern.
You've never swayed from that. You've never, ever swayed from that.
Well, like it ain't Braxton, though. Like Braxton ain't.
It is part Braxton. No,
I'm just saying Braxton ain't the worst thing on that line. Like,
you know, but he's part of it.
I'm not even really trying to give Braxton a pass here. I'm just saying there's other problems. But wait, like really what I'm saying is, guys, like, first off, the sky isn't falling. You just have to recognize that, like, what we're seeing here is the odds are this team is not going to the Super Bowl this year, and that's okay. Next year we will. Ryan Poles built this thing backwards, and what we're seeing is, unfortunately, there's a bunch of holes in that offensive line. Bunch of them. And, like, I'm going to say the craziest thing right now, and I hate to say this, but, like, maybe you bring in a Ryan Tannehill and you sit the kid. I don't really think he needs to be back there.
Oh, nope. Okay. You better be glad you're not in the United States, man. They'll throw rotten eggs at your house, man.
Nope.
I'm renting. I'm saying I'm renting, and I don't. How do you, if you can't fix it this season and you leave the kid behind that fourth line? And he
I don't think they need to do that yet. I don't think
I'll take all the eggs, bro.
I don't think we're there yet. I do believe the best thing that can happen with Caleb right now is the worst thing that can happen is him sitting. The best thing that can happen is get out there and take them reps. I believe that's all he needs is really reps.
But you got to get the fundamentals down. Like, I mean, honestly, and then
how, bro? How can he get that shit?
I tell you.
With the line they have today? Okay. I'm listening.
It has to be done in practice. And the thing is, you have to be adamant about screwing up. You can't, it seems like I would say I'm not at practice, so I can't, and they don't let the media watch practice. However, there seems to be a lackadaisical attitude because they keep doing it. All right? Like, I don't think they're being coached hard enough. All right? Because if you had those stunts, simple twist picked up, like they picked up sometimes, if you pick them up because there's no difference in the stunts, then Caleb has a lot more time to throw, not seeing ghosts, can step into some throws. It's a whole different ballgame. But it starts in practice, and Chris Morgan, you know how they say shit runs downhill. If I'm Ryan Poles, I am chewing out eberflus. If I'm Eberflus, I'm chewing out Shane Waldron. If I'm Shane Waldron, I'm chewing out Chris Morgan. And if I'm Chris Morgan, I'm chewing out my players. It runs downhill. And they need to feel it. Because you're going to get your quarterback killed before his career gets taken. And again, it's not the sky isn't falling, like you said. But the thing about it, as football players, we're alpha males. We see the issue, so we got to fix it now, because we know what's going to happen if we don't fix it. That's why we're so adamant about what needs to be done, because you can fall into a false sense of security because you got the Colts, who they suck, and you don't know. I know what people are saying. What about Richard? Yeah, they suck. All right, they suck. They've given up 850 yards in 2 freaking games on the ground. All right, and DeForest Buckner is going to be out. So
I want to touch on that there, Sean. Like you nailed a whole bunch of important factors, and the one thing that actually worries me about it all is the fact that Eberflus decided not to make any changes to this O-line situation going into the Colts game. So I just want to prepare you guys, right? So if this offensive line performs very well against the Colts, it could very easily be an anomaly. It could be a very high anomalous situation where, yeah, they're just not very good. So then we roll into week 4 and we regress.
We got a whole bunch of teams coming up that aren't very good.
Actually, you're right. The Panthers are pretty bad
Panthers.
too.
You got the Jaguars.
Yeah.
You got the bye. Then you got Washington. Then
Thank
you have
God for the
Arizona.
schedule, because, bro, I don't know what you do.
Here's the thing. Each and every one of those teams can look at film just like I can, you can, kids, and you can too, Sean, and show everybody in every defensive building in the NFL that has to play the Bears. And they're going to see, and, they don't have to be super, super good teams to overwhelm an offensive line and put too many, all you got to do is count the numbers. If it's 6 coming and only 5 to protect, there's 7 coming and only 5 to protect, you're outmatched. And you can overwhelm teams that way. You can zone blitz teams to death like that. You can do all kinds of things to really, really, if they see that that's your Achilles heel when they're outmatched and the quarterback doesn't call the right protection or doesn't know when to call the timeout because he sees there's a mug blitz coming and it doesn't look like it's going to be backed off and he runs the play anyway, I'm just, there's going to be, trust and believe me, it's a copycat league. Everybody's going to do what Houston did to Chicago. Everybody's going to at least try. And so you're talking about the ultimate test. The Bears offensive line either going to shit or get off the pot this week. And there's going to be some things, either they're going to execute against this team and we're going to have a halfway decent game and we're going to protect this kid, or something drastic is going to have to happen after this. If it goes down anything like it went down last week, it's going to have to be something drastic that happens. And I'll tell you why I know this. The media is they're going to go after Poles, they're going to go after Flus, they're going to go after Waldron, they're going to go after Chris Morgan. And it's going to be relentless until somebody's head rolls. Anybody disagree with that? They have to perform this week.
Well, the only disagreement that I have is they may be going after personnel. So again, if I was a Nate Davis or a Coleman Shelton, I would be playing my damnedest this week as well.
Well, Sean's got to get out of here, so we're gonna let him get his take before he bugs out. But go ahead, Sean. What do you think about that?
Well, I agree. You got to. We need great performances. All right, but the problem is, how are you going to get them? All right, you can't just go sign a whole new offensive line. All the good people are gone. It's only week 2. We're going into week 3. All right, not that many people are hurt. Anyone who's worth a damn is on the team right now. All right, you better start looking at practice squad players, and I'm telling you that can send waves through a locker room. You bench or you do not dress Nate Davis, you get Pryor, and you sign someone off someone else's practice squad. That'll let the team know that you're serious. That'll let the team know that you ain't on that you're trying to fix this issue, this molehill before it becomes a mountain, because it's gonna get it will show its ugly face if you continue to do nothing. So I think there needs to be a strong statement made. And for me, it's like, hey, bring somebody up, don't dress somebody. You know, why again? I don't think you can get much worse. I don't think it can get much worse.
Oh yeah, it can get way worse now.
Well,
yeah,
7 sacks and 11 other hits.
38 pressures, guys.
The byproduct, the spill off is on Caleb Williams, not the offensive line. So he's going to be the worst affected by any of that.
Yeah, and that's my problem with keeping him under center and allowing him to continue without fixing the you got to do. So we've got the next 3 weeks, and as Sean and I have just identified, they're going to be a little bit lackluster, a little bit weak by way, in comparison to the first 2. Maybe everything will look great and smell like roses come week 6. I'm worried that in week 6 it's going to revert. I don't think that making no changes solves the problem. Like, that never solves any problems. Doing nothing fixes nothing.
Well, you got to do something really quick, man. Let's wrap this part of it up by saying now I do believe I've seen offensive lines have really, really bad performances, and I've seen coaches go back, and this is just giving you a positive aspect to what we saw Sunday. I've seen offensive line coaches go and take the whole group back to the basics. Let's just say they were in grad school as far as how you practice with that group. You know what I mean? I'm talking about how you practice with them, the things that you are working on with them, techniques, all this kind of thing. They'll have to go back to high school with the fundamentals and really start from scratch and build them back up. I've seen that happen, and I've seen that work. Can they do that? Can Chris Morgan do that with this group? We're going to find out. I'm hoping he can. I'm really hoping he can, and I'm going to lean towards, hey, man, if you're as respected as people say you are, then you know exactly what to do with this group.
Yep.
You know, that's all I'll say, Sean. Before you go, you want to speak on that one more time? Go ahead.
Yeah, get back to the fundamentals, because everything that happened was fundamentally wrong. All right, fundamentally wrong. You can't lean into the guy when he crosses your face. You got to be ready. And the thing is, there's got to be a code. You got to be like pick. I forgot what we our offensive lineman used to yell Holy Cross, but they did a good job of seeing it and understanding it. All right, but there's got to be a code. I mean, if you're the tackle and the 3 techs coming out at you, you have to see it. And if you're the guard and the guy's crossing your face, you got to know someone's coming. They're not going to leave the middle wide open. They're not going to leave the A gap unattended. Not with a quarterback who can run.
Right.
It's common sense. So fundamentals. I'm telling you, if you could, I think you put it perfectly, Nomad. If Chris Morgan is as respected as the world wants us to think, then he should be able to fix this. He should be able to say, hey, let's get these guys on track, because everything they did it wasn't like they got beat. I mean, not all the time. Darnell Wright got beat one time by Daniil Hunter. Just
left him.
Come here.
The same thing to Braxton. He got just left.
Okay. But for the most part, a lot of the majority of their issues were fundamental. And even when they got beat, it was fundamental. Why? Because they leaned forward. They lunged at Daniil Hunter. They lunged. Whoop, there you go.
So our guy, big shout out to PJ. What it do, my brother?
What up, PJ?
The question funny that I said that today. I'm like, is there a rift between Chris Morgan and Shane Waldron? Because Shane Waldron didn't get to bring his offensive line coach.
Yeah, that's worth fucking talking about too. Because before I got to get Sean's take. We'll park that. Let's park that goddamn conversation, because I'm glad you brought that up. But what's your take real fast on DJ Moore? And we got Deshaun Mallory was re-signed to the practice squad because I believe Zach Pickens is hurt. I think Tevin is nicked up, but he's on track to play.
Yep.
Sean just bugged out. I don't know if you're still there. Still there, Sean?
Sorry.
I just want to get your take
repeat
on
the
that.
question again. I'm sorry.
So we just re-signed Deshaun Mallory to the practice squad. Zach Pickens is a little nicked up with his groin still. Tevin Jenkins is nicked up, but sounds like he's trending towards playing. And the DJ Moore situation, his body language. If you want to speak to any three of those, go right ahead before you go.
I'll speak to the DJ one. He's frustrated. He's frustrated. He sees it. You know, I still think that, you know, he said the right things. He said all the right things. But when he got comfortable here in Chicago last year with Justin Fields, and then they traded him. You know, he made the comment when I was in the locker room that one time. He's like, yeah, I know what you're talking about, but none of them are better than Justin Fields. And I think him and Justin had a bond. And I think, you know, you're getting this quarterback who everyone hyped up, you know, and he has a clean pocket and misses him. You know what I mean? He missed him a couple times, and he didn't target him enough times. Probably game one. It's like, come on, dude. You know, I think he's frustrated. I think they got to work that out. You know, and you know, as excited as we were about Keenan Allen getting here, man, Keenan Allen's 30+ years old. And he hasn't played for, you know, most of the game two because of his heel injury. DJ is our number one dude. Keep him happy. And yeah, I said it before. If you've got to force feed him like Cutler did Marshall, then force feed that son of a gun, because you know what, DJ Moore is going to come down with more often than not. DJ Moore is going to come up with the ball. Don't underthrow him like he did on that go route where he had old boy beat. He had him beat. Like he catches him in stride, it's 6 beat, and he underthrew him, and there was a safety over the top. But that's why I was wondering why he lost it. But I digress. Caleb has really frustrated DJ Moore, and I hope they work it out. DJ's not going to say anything publicly. That's not his style, but I hope it's addressed inside the walls of Halas Hall, and they get that worked out, because you got to get him going, man. He is a monster. We all know it. He is a freaking stud. Get him the ball.
Well, let me speak to this. We got to go around, give kids a shot at this one more time before we get out of here, because we do have to get ready for some extra sauce later at 8 o'clock, man, and got to get that show all set up. But here's what I know. I played corner and receiver in high school, did the same thing in college. I practiced with the offense. They didn't throw me in. I knew what to do, but they never used me during the game, so I never got to play. But I practiced with them all the time on the offense and the defense. And you worked your ass off to when you know, in between when your number is called. And by the time you hear your number in the huddle, you hear the play for you in the huddle, and you know the tendencies of what these dudes are trying to do to you. And you know that shit is there, Sean. And you take off and you beat the dude, and just like you just cruising, like, just please, Lord, let this ball get to me. And there's nowhere near your catch radius. And unfortunately, as humans, sometimes the body language tells the whole story. And we got to see it live. There's no DJ's a pro. He's getting paid a lot of money. He's a captain, just like Nas said. And you shouldn't let that show flat out. And I think he's apologized for that, you know, because he didn't want to embarrass the kid. But he's absolutely going to be frustrated. You know, can he do a better job of making sure the world doesn't know how frustrated he is? Hell yeah. But I know what that feels like, because I had one of those kind of quarterbacks in high school, man. And it was just like, I'm constantly giving these corners an ass whooping and a wide ass open, and he can't hit me to save his life. You know what I mean? But that's not the situation between Caleb and DJ. He just hasn't connected with him right. You know, I think it's coming. You know what I mean? I believe it's coming, but right now, it's not there. And you've seen the ramifications of it in DJ's body language. And that's my take on that.
Get him the damn ball. Just get him the damn ball. He ain't going to say it. Keyshawn will say it. Keyshawn has said it. But get DJ Moore the damn ball.
He spoke about all this today. So there's a presser today. Actually, they both spoke about it. There's a presser today with Caleb and DJ. Start things out. You know, I don't think DJ really heard it when Caleb said it, but Caleb took full responsibility for that play. He said, basically, I screwed up that pass. It was a bad pass thrown by me. Later on, DJ, in his conversation, in his response, he was basically asked, like, what were you so mad about? Like, what was your body language? And he kind of stopped and he was like, yeah, I looked at it. I've seen my social media feed, people at me, and I've seen it. And yeah, he was frustrated with the play, is how he spun it. He missed the play. It was their opportunity to make a big play, and he missed the play, and that's his spin on this thing. And I can't argue with the guy for being frustrated for missing a play. I also can't argue with the guy for being frustrated with the way that this offense has performed over the past 2 weeks. So I'm pretty sure we're all a little frustrated. We're also not on the football field trying to feed our families and get the job done. So I give him all the benefit of the doubt on this one. That offense ain't working. It should be running through him in some capacity. I'd be frustrated.
Well, do we have a whole bunch more to talk about? Damn right. But we're under a time limit. We got some vice scripts on us tonight, guys, and we got to do another show here for all the members, man. The Super Nomaniacs. We got some extra sauce coming up on my guy Trip. He's got some stuff planned. Well, let's give some pleasantries out, man, before we book up out of here.
Right on. Yo, Mad Heads jumped in today. Super happy with that. Always love the support and give you guys some love right back. Big shout outs to T Collins. Big shout outs to PJ out there blowing up the chat. Yes, I know they may have messed up, but we got to ride with them. It's where we are. Plankster's out there with us. Scottish Bear just jumped in. The Scrolls, no jokes today. The Scrolls. I'm disappointed, the Scrolls. So we'll have to catch up later. Left Hand just jumped in. My guy, Jim Hunter. Damn it, Jim. Minister Charles Johnson just jumped in. Torian Whitfield. Always good to see you, my brother Torian. Big ups to you. Big ups to King Booker World. Super No Maniac, King Booker World. Super No Maniac, Marlon Johnson's with us as well. AC Adam jumped in. FFG Styles with us. KCL. Great to have all these folks, man. Daryl Gibson. Super stoked to see you, Daryl. Mr. Mayhem is also with us today. Who am I missing out there? Am I missing anybody? Try to give everybody as much love as I can before we send things through. But yeah, man, we'll call it an episode. We got the Colts to deal with on Sunday, so let's hope this is part of that lighter portion of the schedule. Right, and let's see if we can scoop up a couple of wins in a row here and grow. Like, they just need to grow from here. We know what it looks like against a playoff team. I think they have the opportunity to start to stack some wins and learn from their mistakes and grow. Super back.
Sports owners and the Maniacs Unite. Great show. I got to run. Hopefully they figure it out. Hope so.
All right,
Sooner
man.
or later.
Sean, bug on out of here, man. I'll finish this thing on up. Glad to see you, man. But here I will finish this on a positive note, because this is the silver lining to the whole story. And the truth is, I saw nothing in that game on replay on all 22 that can't be redeemed. Okay, I'm gonna say that one more time. I saw nothing in the game plan. Everything that went wrong in that game, 36 pressures, the whole 9 yards, Caleb throwing bad footballs. None of that stuff is irredeemable. And so what I'm telling you guys is there is a whole bunch of good that can happen. It's just it's a systematic thing that when you're scheming up a new offense, you got new coordinators, you got new, everybody, even the coordinator and the offensive line coaching. I don't know, man. That conversation we were starting to have with Sean is worth talking about. We'll talk about that later. But I do believe 100% that can get better and better and better as the season goes on. And be honest with you, it's almost like you have to have games like this in order for you to learn and grow. I've never known any kind of joy that didn't come from some kind of pain somewhere. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just my life, but from pain comes growth and joy. You know what I mean? So I look at it that way, and I know we sounded hypercritical on this show, and that's not normal for us. But it was to me, it was important to be to be reflective of what we actually saw and be honest with each other about what we actually saw and call it how a TI is. And that's what in the hood, that means calling it like it is, you know. And that's just what we did today. And hopefully we didn't run anybody off, because I do believe 100% all of that stuff that happened bad in that game, because we only lost by 6 points, you got to remember that, is redeemable. You know, so it's just
a playoff team.
Yes. And it just comes down to coaching, getting back to the basics and making sure everything is settled down and they're executing the game plan and everybody's taking care of their individual responsibility. Really, that's all it comes down to, guys. And that's just the bottom line truth. Do I think it's going to get better? I know it's going to get better. It's just a matter of time. So, but with that being said, we do got to get ready for this next show. Anybody that's not a member, it's $4.99 a month. It's easy. Sign up and come on in there and have you a good time, because that's exactly what the hell we're about to do on Some Extra Sauce at 8:00 p.m. Central. But with that being said, we got to sign out. We'll leave you guys with our famous words. If you can think it and you can see it, there's no reason in the world why you can't absolutely manifest it. It's all a matter of your mind. Just got to get the hell on out of your way, folks. But that being said, we are